So yes, we're going to get started. Good morning and welcome to the call. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Samantha Schwartz, and I am a networker and creator of my life. But by day, 3 days a week, I'm a labor and delivery nurse as well. And I also have a huge passion for holistic health. So it's kind of my background. As some of you may know, I'm only one of 4 incredibly awesome women that will be leading these calls. We each have our own style and reasons for being passionate about mindset. And for me, I was basically stuck. I was stuck in limiting beliefs and negative self-talk for much of my life. And the work I've done in transforming my mindset has given me my life back. I think we need to mute a couple people. Perfect. Awesome. So yeah, so I was stuck. And I wanted to do these calls. I wanted to offer different mindset views on things that we think about all the time in a different light, because I was really stuck. I was stuck in anxiety and worry, and I just really wasn't living life how I wanted to live it. And what you'll find in my style is that I'm really committed to causing breakthroughs for people. So I hope that you guys see that and always listen to me from that point of view, that I'm looking to cause breakthroughs, because I was in many of the spots that some of you may be at. I was there. And so I'm committed to causing breakthroughs in all areas of your life for you guys. So this call is going to go 30 minutes, and what I share on these calls is a culmination of the interpretations of a lot of other people's work. So basically, what all of us share on these calls is what we've deducted out of seeking out transformation for ourselves. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so today we're going to talk about a few things: commitment and responsibility, mostly as it relates to goals. Okay, so how identifying what you're committed to and taking responsibility for being at cause in your life will transform the relationship that you have with your goals and thus your results. Okay, so hopefully you guys are excited about that, because I know even though it's only a couple weeks into 2018, this is about the time where people start to realize that, they had all these big plans and goals for 2018, and things are already kind of, one step forward, 2 steps back, or things are adjusting, or you're forgetting, or, whatever gets in your way of accomplishing what you set out to accomplish is already starting to show up. And what you'll find in mindset, and the reason to have a lot of focus on your mindset, is that life does that. It brings up things come up in life that will challenge us and will challenge our goals and challenge what we're committed to. And it's really difficult to sit in a space of having actions that are always consistent with what you're committed to. It's hard to stand in that space when you have all of the normal things of life coming at you and you're not very, very aware of this whole relationship with commitment and responsibility and goals. Okay, so we're going to jump right into it, because I know we don't have a ton of time. So firstly, when I'm talking about commitment, I'm mostly talking about what you're committed to. So it's a little bit different than, commitment is like with relationships and, commitment issues, that kind of stuff. It's a little spin out of that. So what we want to do first is identify where you're going to stand from. So anytime that you have a goal, you just want to think of, it'll be a lot easier if you think of an area of your life. So if you think of an area of your life where you have goals, you have dreams, there's things that you want to do that, it maybe there are things that are working, but there are things that aren't working in a certain place of your life. And so you have goals to sort of transform that, change that, evolve that this year. So think of a place for an area of your life that you want to break through in. Think of the goals that you have for that area of your life, and you're going to start to identify a place to stand from. So we're going to start to take something that's really like abstract, and it's probably a goal that a lot of people have, and also a goal that a lot of people don't really achieve. They just have it. There's a difference between just having a goal and almost being the goal, and that's where commitment comes in. So So what are you committed to in this area of your life? Now this, again, is going to require some peeling of layers. Okay, so if anyone's ever worked on their why they're doing anything, we talk a lot about that in business, but why you're doing something, you have to get really deep into it. It has to create some sort of visceral emotion for it to really make an impact and to have power in, driving your actions. So this is the same thing. When you think of what you're committed to, you want to peel back the layers. So if you're committed to, your family, or you're committed to making a certain amount of money in 2018, you look at your superficial goal, that generalization, and you want to dig deeper. You want to talk about, if you stand as though you've achieved that goal, what do you have? What would have to be there for that goal to be achieved? Who would you have to be being for that goal to be achieved? You have to really start peeling back the emotion behind the goal instead of just the goal, because that's where your commitment comes in. You're not committed to having X amount of money no matter how much, or no matter what it takes to get it. You're not going to do all these unethical things and, go rob a bank and steal things and whatever to get this X money. So it's not really the goal. It's not really the money of the goal that you're committed to. If you were committed to getting X amount, like so committed, you'd do whatever it took. And that's not really what we mean by a goal. So we have to find out, what is the feeling, what do we get out of achieving that goal? What is the emotional payoff? What is the sense or feeling that we get when we achieve that? So whether it's a sense of peace or happiness, or not having to worry, or getting to do something specific with your family, or getting to spend time with your family because you don't have to worry about going to work. There's all different layers that we have to peel back in these goals to figure out, what are we committed to? I said at the top of this call, I'm committed to causing breakthroughs for you guys in all areas of your life. That's where my commitment is. Okay? So in order for me to do that, I have to do different actions that are consistent with what I'm committed to. And the different goals that we have, like even as a group with the 3 other ladies that do this call with me, we have goals and structures put in place of how we're going to do these calls. And our goal is to have this many calls in the year, to have it cover these sorts of topics. Those are all of our goals, but it's not what we're committed to. What we're committed to is, like for me, causing breakthroughs for you guys in all areas of your life. So whenever I'm looking at all of my goals and the action steps that I need to take in order to fulfill my goal, I'm really looking at, is it consistent with what I'm committed to? Okay? Because if I am doing a call and I'm like, oh, I just have to do this call, and I could talk about this, and this would be kind of cool, and like, will I get the call done? Got my goal. My goal is to do, a call every 4th Monday. I'm doing that. But is it consistent with what I'm committed to? If it's not causing breakthroughs, I have to adjust. I have to assess and adjust. So this is kind of the beginning part of figuring out where in your goals are your commitments. For your family, are you committed to having close, connected relationships with your children? That is where is your place to stand. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Is commitment is a place to stand. Okay, so when you're committed to something, you stand in that place as this is where you're coming from, instead of coming from your thoughts and feelings and circumstances. Okay, so how many people have set a goal for themselves? They were like so gung-ho about it, like, I'm going to do it this year. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to get that gym membership. I'm going to go 3 times a week. This is going to be great. I have it all laid out in my calendar, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then the next day they wake up and they're like, I could go tomorrow. I don't really feel like it today. Yeah, if I work out, then that means I'll be sweaty. I'll have to shower. I don't really have time to shower because I have to go do this. it's all about the feelings. It's all about motivation and inspiration. It turns out that goals and results don't have to do so much with inspiration and motivation. Now, isn't that an interesting perspective? So it isn't inspiration and motivation that causes people to accomplish goals. If we only depended on inspiration and motivation, all of the amazing things that have been accomplished throughout the world and, the generations, that would not have happened, because nobody can sustain motivation and inspiration long enough to accomplish goals, especially goals as big as the ones that you and I and most of the people on this call have. Okay? So you have to identify a place to stand despite your feelings, despite your current mood, despite your circumstances. Something where you can stop and ask yourself, is this consistent to what I'm committed to? Okay? So I kind of talked a little bit about steps and structures, things, the actions that are consistent with what you're committed to. These are your steps to help keep you on track into, when you're in a good mood, this is your best way to really identify these steps. That's totally true. When you get inspired or you get motivated, work on your goals, set out some actions that you want to take, and make them realistic, of course. Don't base it just on how you feel right now, but base it on something that's sustainable, and really look at what you're going to come up against in order to accomplish that. What do you know already as yourself will take you out of this goal? So if you were going to do, something daily, you have to look at, knowing yourself, what would take you out of completing that every single day. Name 5 things that would take you out of that. Okay? Well, I know that some days I'm not going to feel like it. I know that some days life is going to get busier than others. So once you identify what you know will come up, there of course will be things that you don't know that will come up, but what you know and what you can anticipate will come up because you know yourself. You can start to put structures in place to counteract that. And you can start taking responsibility for actions that are consistent with what you're committed to. Okay? This is huge. Most of you on this call, I know, are not people who sit in a victim state of mind, because if you were sitting in a victim state of mind, you wouldn't be on this call. If that was like your pervasive way of being, you wouldn't be on this call, because you wouldn't see the opportunity for growth. And to be honest, a lot of times when people are stuck in victim mode all the time, they don't know anything different, and it's terrifying to know an unknown of how would my life be if I wasn't a victim. And I don't mean victim in this like scary sense of the word, like, victim of a disease or victim of, abuse or something like that. It's a victim meaning that you live life at the circumstances that come up against you. So life just kind of happens to you. People who live life as life just kind of happens to them have no power. Okay? The opposite of that, and what we're trying to look at when we're talking about commitment and responsibility, is taking responsibility that you are at cause in your life. Now, this is distinct because it's a choice to be responsible for being at cause in your life. Okay, so what I mean by that is it's not saying everything that happens in your life is because of you. It doesn't happen to you. That's the like place we're looking to stand in. And I know that a lot of people will be like, well, there's a lot of things in my life that I can't control and that do just happen to me. That may be true, but this isn't talking about right, wrong, good, bad, true or false. This is talking about power in a place to stand. So even though when I say that you are at cause in your life, it's a choice, it's not a truth. Okay, does that make sense? So it's a choice. It's not a truth. So if you can stand as you are at cause of everything in your life, you have power. If you can choose to be the cause of everything in your life, to take responsibility for everything that happens to you, if you can choose that, you have power. When we say that there's things out of our control that we can't, all this stuff, it takes away our power. Okay, so this is how it plays into the mood and the emotions and the I don't feel like it, is because that could be true, and you have a choose to be at cause and to choose what actions are consistent with what you're committed to. Okay? So when you get into that space of being able to choose what you're committed to instead of choosing how you feel, your words start to increase in integrity. And this is a huge, 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 like beyond huge. Back before there were, legalities and contracts and all of these things where in order to make a promise to someone, you have to literally sign something to make a promise to someone. That's like the culture that we live in right now. There's such a lack of trust and such a lack of integrity in people's word. Back, years and years and years ago, there was no such thing. Like, your word was your word. You said you were going to do something and you did it. There was no, all of this concern that there is in today's world. So when you start to give power to your word instead of power to your circumstances, your life starts to shift. You can honestly accomplish anything you want to accomplish if you give enough power to your word. Now, I know that this may seem like really, yeah, right, that's too easy. Like, how does that, there's no way that's it. But this is what happens. So just like I was explaining earlier about how people, you get a gym membership, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go work out 3 days a week. It's going to happen this year. We're going to do this. And then you're like, oh, I don't really feel like it. And you start to create this sense of like, it's okay. Like, oh, well, it's okay. I still am doing it this many times. And then you tell yourself, I'll go tomorrow. And you're like, no, it's okay. I'll go the next day. Or maybe, I was going to go in the morning, but now I'll just go in the evening. I was going to go to an hour-long class. Well, now I'll just stay, only half of the time. You start to kind of bargain with yourself, and you start to make your word extremely wishy-washy to yourself. Okay? And a lot of this is just in our head. It's not even promises we're making to other people. It's our word to ourselves, which is extremely important because, how I said, if you can give power to your word instead of to your circumstances, you can accomplish anything you want to accomplish, right? So how does that work? It works because when you start to give power to your word and you do what you said you were going to do, even if you're the only one who knows it, because it was just a promise you made to yourself, that's even more powerful because now you trust yourself. Okay? So anyone who has trust issues, you think you have trust issues with other people, look at the trust issues you have with yourself. Because that is the biggest thing. You start to work on that, and it'll start to transform the relationships in your life and the relationship you have with trusting people. Okay? It's really, really powerful. It's really key to get. If you have trust issues with other people, look at your trust issues with yourself. Because if you start working on those, I promise you the other ones will transform. Because when you're able to trust yourself, it's because you have integrity in your word. And because when you say you're going to do something, you do it. Despite your emotions, despite your circumstances, despite your mood. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. And when that happens, you trust yourself. And we all know what happens when you believe in yourself, when you have no doubt in yourself. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. Okay? So that's how that all connects together, is when you can identify what you're committed to and you can stand in that place as a choice to be at cause in the matter. Like, you are the cause of it, and you can take responsibility for that, and you can increase the integrity of your word. You trust yourself, you believe in yourself, you can do anything you want to do. Because guess what? Now, too, the trust issues that you have with other people, guess what? You're at cause. So when you don't trust other people, there's something internal with you. Okay? If something didn't happen because this person let you down, where is there responsibility that you can take to get your power back? Okay, so I'm trying to think of like an example off the top of my head, but if you have, even just, this is probably the easiest example. If you have an argument with somebody and somebody is like, you know, you guys are arguing and it starts to get a little bit heated, you know, we always have these background feelings and points of views of other people and how we view other people. So that all comes into play. How you view them is coming into play. How they view you is coming into play. All of this stuff, and you guys are interpreting the words that people are saying, but you're interpreting it with a story behind it. So as you're arguing, you're creating a story about what's happening. The other person's creating a story about what's happening, and neither of those are really happening. Like, it's just each person's interpretation. And so the one person, so if you're, you know, arguing with somebody and it's getting heated and you can see that each of you are getting upset, there's a point in that where you can take responsibility for what is happening. So you can stop the argument and you can say, I'm sorry for how this is going right now because this isn't going how I want it to go. However, I'm being with you is causing you to be like this with me. There's responsibility in that. Even if this person is someone that you know is a posture, always does this, you know, blah, 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 blah. That's where you get to take responsibility. And of course, you know, don't say this probably to them especially if they've never done any mindset. Don't say this to them. But there are some people you'll find as you do mindset. I definitely have people in my life where I can say this to them and they won't get offended. But in your head, you can say, oh, I'm seeing this person as a pot stirrer. Like, that's why I'm reacting to how they're talking to me, because I see them as a pot stirrer. So I can take responsibility for my communication being a reaction at them, which is causing them to now react back at me. Okay? So it's not directly connected with the trust issue, but you can kind of see how once you practice being at cause in your life and taking responsibility for your word and for all of your communication and how it lands with people, the trust issue starts to go away because you are responsible. You're choosing. Again, it's not a truth, it's a choice. It's not a truth, it's a choice. You're choosing to be responsible because guess what? If you're responsible in a conversation like that, the argument goes away. There is no argument. Pride goes out the window. You know, the disagreement goes out the window. The miscommunication goes out the window. Being right about it goes out the window. If you can take responsibility, not as truth, but as a choice in everything in your life, that's where you can be happy all the time because there's no blame, there's no taking credit, there's no shame in it. It's just choice to be responsible without a story behind it. Okay? So, we got like 5 minutes left. I'm just looking to make sure I went through all the stuff. I kind of just got her going there. But what the main purpose of this call, like I've kind of been bringing you along about standing in your commitment, having a place to stand, being at cause in the matter, is finding a mindset that's unshakable. Okay? Can you imagine having a mindset that's unshakable? I can tell you right now, I do not have a mindset that's unshakable. I would love that, and I'm working toward it. right? It's a constant process. It's a constant process. I'm not here to tell you like that this is how I live my life day in and day out, and I'm always, this perfect, unshakable mindset person who takes responsibility for all of the times they react at people and yada, yada, yada. It's not like that. This is a constant process. You just have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to look at what's working and what's not working and get down to the basis of effectiveness versus good, bad, right or wrong, all of that. Okay? So if you had a mindset that was unshakable by, any sorts of feelings, mood, emotions, circumstances, this is where the power really comes in achieving your goals. Okay? There's a place for discipline in goals. It kind of relates to this and how if you know someone who does go to the gym on a regular basis and has maybe been doing so for years. I have some girls at work who go to the gym every single day before work. And I think they're insane. But they do that. And what I guarantee you all of them will say is that it started out as a discipline. It started out as a discipline and as a commitment of choosing to do things that are consistent with what they're committed to instead of doing it based on your mood or circumstance or feelings. Okay? And when you start to just choose what you're committed to without getting wrapped up in the emotion or having to talk yourself into choosing what you're committed to, that's why they talk about the power of routine. Because routine is more step one, step two, regimented. There's not a lot of thinking. There's not a lot of, choice in it. There's not a lot of, wishy-washy feeling stuff in it. It's a routine. You do it every single day. Why do you do it? Because you do it. That's the difference. You're doing it because you're committed to it, but you're doing it because you said you would do it. It's not because you love it or because it feels great. It's because you said you were going to do it. If you can get to a point where you do something just because you said you were going to do it, it takes away the circumstances, it takes away the mood, it takes away the need for inspiration, the need for motivation, and you're just doing something on the pure fact that you said you would do it, so that's why you're doing it. So again, it can start with discipline. To get to this place, you can start with discipline, start with a routine, figure out how it works within your life. If you always run out of time, make sure that it's the first thing you do. If you still are running out of time, make sure you're getting up early. If you can't get up early, make sure you're going to sleep earlier so that you can get up early. You start to look at how you can accomplish what you said you were going to do instead of why you can't accomplish it. Okay? I didn't do this today. What structures can I put in place to make sure I do it tomorrow? Because I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. Okay? So, I got 1 minute. Hopefully this was really helpful for you guys. I really hope this was helpful. I love any feedback that I can get. I'm going to post this on World Changers, and I want you all to comment on it. Please, today is throughout the week. Comment on it. Engage. Engage in what you're discovering. Dig deeper. Continue uncovering your blocks. Be committed to your own breakthrough. Okay? It's not a one-way street. You have to be committed to your own breakthrough. Keep this topic present in your mind because each week we're going to build on what we learned from the week before. So even if the topics aren't directly related, you're going to notice some common threads and alternative ways to look at similar principles, which is awesome why we have 4 people, different people with different experiences, different training backgrounds doing these calls. So trust the process and make a commitment to listen or be on every single one of these calls every single week, okay? It's only on Mondays, so every week. If you come up against something, you can definitely reach out to me. Again, my name is Samantha Schwartz. You can find me on Facebook. I'd be happy to help you peel back the layers. If not, see you next Monday and have a fantastic week.